You don't need the perfect podcasting strategy. You don't need to have a massive audience. You don't need to have it all figured out. All you got to do, just hand it over and trust him with the outcome. And that, my friend, is where the breakthrough happens. Okay, here we are, me and you and this microphone. And honestly, I am a little giddy, like first day of school giddy, because I haven't been behind this microphone in this way in 6 months. And 6 months ago, I was living a very different life. I was a very different person. And I've been through a journey that so many things have changed, and all for the better. I'm also giddy because we are about to talk about something that literally changed my life. Now, if you've been around here for any length of time, or for those that are just joining me today, and if you are, thank you. And you know that I don't throw around the word literally lightly. I still think that people who say literally when they mean figuratively should have their Disney privileges revoked. But in this case, I do mean literally. Because here's the thing. You could have the best microphone, the most beautiful graphics, a content calendar so organized it would make a type A personality weep with joy. But if God isn't invited into your process, you're just shouting into the void. It's just with better acoustics. So today on Christian Podcasting Secrets, we're going to talk about how to actually and practically invite God into your podcast goals for 2026. Now, this is not a slap a Bible verse on it and call it good type of thing. This is a real, transformative, oh, this is what partnership with the Holy Spirit looks like kind of way. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. So first of all, let me tell you about the day that I realized that I was doing this kind of backwards. So I was sitting in my office staring at the content calendar, which, by the way, was, of course, very color-coded because I apparently thought that if it was pretty enough, God would be impressed. And I felt completely stuck. Not the I don't know what to talk about stuck, that I've got, but more like I have 17 ideas and zero peace type of stuck. You know that feeling. When you're doing all the right things, you're posting consistently, you're pushing out episodes on a regular basis, you're planning ahead, you're checking all the boxes. But it feels like you're pushing a boulder uphill in flip-flops and you're not getting anywhere. And that was me. And then I had this thought, when you know it's from him. Hey, Tammy, when did I ask you to do any of this by yourself? Ooh, straight to the soul. Because, of course, I was praying about my podcasts. I was praying before I hit record. I was praying that people would find it helpful and informative. But I wasn't actually working in partnership with God. I was treating him like a consultant that I looped in occasionally, instead of a creative partner who actually wanted to be in the room while I was doing the brainstorming. I was coming up with the ideas. I was writing the podcast episode. Big difference. So then I did something that felt a little radical, at least to my productivity-loving brain. I shut down my computer, I put down my phone, and I said out loud, because apparently I need to hear myself sometimes, okay, God, what do you want me to say? Not what will get downloads or what's going to sound impressive, but what's on your heart that you would like me to share. And friend, that shift, that is what we are unpacking today. So, okay, let's get really practical about this. Now, I call this the vision trio: partnership, perspective, and purpose. Now, these three things, they sound simple, right? But it's going to absolutely change how you create and how you plan out your show. So let's start with what partnership with God is not. It's not praying a quick, please, Lord, bless this episode and hoping for the best. Nope. It's not asking God for help when only your downloads and your podcast consumption rate tanks. And it's not treating the Holy Spirit like your personal SEO optimization tool. It's just, those are not the things we're going to be doing. But here's what it is: inviting God into the brainstorming, the messy, I have no idea what I'm doing part. It's pausing before you hit record and saying, what do you want to say through me today? And being obedient and being willing to scrap that perfectly planned episode if he is leading you somewhere else. So here's a real example. Last year, I had an entire episode planned out. Notes written, all the examples were ready, everything was all lined up. But before I hit record, I felt that nudge, talk about rest. And I thought, rest? Well, that's kind of off-brand, and it's not real sexy content, and it's definitely not what you are expecting. But I listened. I scrapped the whole thing, and I talked about rest, and it became one of the most downloaded episodes because, shocker, God knows better than we do. Now let's talk about perspective, and this may sting a little bit. Okay, here goes. Your podcast is not just shaping your audience, it's also shaping you. Now, I'm going to say that again for those in the back of the room. Your podcast is not shaping your audience, it's shaping you. So many times we get so focused on what's going to resonate, what's going to help grow my show, what will make me look like I have it all together. I mean, it's questions we ask ourselves all the time, right? But we forget that God cares more about who we are becoming while in this creative process. And perspective asks a different question. Who am I becoming behind this microphone? Not how many downloads did I get this week? Not did anybody share my episode? Not am I growing my audience fast enough? Because sometimes God slows our growth so that he can deepen your roots. Sometimes he asks you to record something raw because you need to hear it out loud. Sometimes he whispers, hey, Tammy, take a break this week. And everything in you wants to argue, but consistency. And friend, let me say this. That's not poor planning. That's discipleship. Now let's look at purpose, because purpose is where the rubber meets the road. And here's the question I want you to actually sit with and not just give me the Christian girl answer. Here's the question. Why am I really doing this? Now that could be for your podcast or it could be any other creative thing that you're doing. So a lot of times when I ask this question, whether in a strategy call or if we're doing a discovery thing or if I'm talking with a client working through a challenging time for them, a lot of the answers I get are these: to glorify God. Okay, yep, absolutely. But let's dig deeper on that one. Another example is, I want to help people. Fantastic. Okay, but why this way? Because I felt called. That's beautiful, my friend. But called to what specifically? See, I'm talking about the honest 3 o'clock in the morning answer. Because purpose is what carries you when an episode only gets 12 downloads and 11 of them are from your family and friends. Heck, all of them might be from your mom. It's when someone leaves that comment that makes you question everything. And we've all had those as podcasters. You see another podcaster or creative's success, and then comparison sets in, and the lies start to roll around in our brains. Purpose anchors you. Purpose filters out the noise. And it reminds you, hey, I'm not here to be famous. I'm here to be faithful. And faithful looks like planting seeds, not running a performance review. So I want to sit here for a moment. Proverbs 16:3 says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. Not might, not if you do everything perfectly, not after you grow your audience. He will. The world says, hustle harder. The algorithm says, post more consistently. Your insecurity says, you've got to be better. But God says, surrender it to me and watch what I can do with it. Because here's the thing, you don't need the perfect podcasting strategy. You don't need to have a massive audience. You don't need to have it all figured out. All you got to do, just hand it over and trust him with the outcome. And that, my friend, is where the breakthrough happens. Now, if this is hitting home with you today, I want to ask you for a favor. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you haven't already done that. And share this with one podcaster who needs this reminder. Your support helps this message reach all those women who need clarity and courage in 2026. Okay, let's keep going. So here's the RIDE framework. Realign, invent, invite, do, evaluate. Okay, realign. Before you plan out a single episode, I want you to carve 5 to 10 minutes. Yep, just 5 to 10 quiet minutes with the Lord, and not the Lord, please bless my podcast type of minutes, the real I'm listening minutes. And I want you to ask, what's the tone you want me to carry this year? Is there a word that you're giving me for 2026? And what direction should I lean into? Because one word from God can guide your entire content strategy better than any $5,000 course. And I'm not kidding. Next, we're going to invite God into everything. So when you sit down to brainstorm your episodes, I want you to literally, there's that word again, write Holy Spirit at the top of your document. If you're editing, ask him what needs to stay or what needs to go. If you have an editor that you work with for your production, like Wildfire Creative, you could do this before and then just give it to them. But ask God what needs to stay and what needs to go. And then when those insecurities and that imposter syndrome pops up, let him speak truth when the comparison flares. Because this isn't woo-woo. This is a collaboration with the creator of the universe. And he's not too busy for your podcast. I promise. Okay, so next is do. I want you to pick one thing he's already shown you and do it this week. Not 10 things, not a full rebrand, not a 47-step plan. One faithful step. Maybe it's recording the episode you've been avoiding. We all have that one topic that we don't like to talk about. Maybe it's reaching out to that guest that you've really been wanting to ask. Maybe it's simplifying your process. Maybe you've got too many steps. You need to bring it back to basics. Maybe it's resting. And yes, rest can be obedience. Just one thing this week. And then there's evaluate, because we need to learn those lessons. So at the end of the month, you're going to ask yourself a number of questions. Was I aligned this month, or was I just busy? Was I obedient to what God showed me? Did I operate from a place of peace or a place of pressure? Where did I try to force something that God didn't ask me to do? Because this isn't about guilt. It's about recalibration. This grace-based evaluation keeps you growing without the grinding and the hustle. Okay, friend, let's wrap this up. If you're thinking, I'm not good enough, my voice does not matter, I'm late, I'm behind, I'm to something. Here's what God says about that. You're not to anything. You are exactly right. You don't need to be polished. You need to be present. And you don't need to sound like everybody else. You need to sound like you. You don't need permission from the internet. You need obedience to the one who called you. 2026 is your year to stop waiting for perfection and start walking in purpose. Do the brave thing, my friend. Take that step. Invite God into every part of this wild and beautiful and messy creative journey, because he's already in it with you. He's just waiting for you to realize it. So thank you so much for joining me on this first episode of 2026. If this episode hit home, I would love it if you would send it to another podcaster who needs a faith-fueled reset. Remember, you can love Jesus and analytics. And life is way too short for boring podcasts. So keep showing up, my friend. Keep creating and keep trusting God with the ride. I'll see you next week. Now go make something beautiful.